everyone, and welcome. I am Soha, co-founder of Acadian. We are really happy to have you all here today. A little about myself. I am a postdoc at the Department of Chemistry, University of Toronto, and CEO of Acadian, a startup we are building to empower graduate students and postdoc in their academic and professional journey. We started Acadian because we saw how much potential and creativity exists within the graduate community, but also how isolating and uncertain this path can sometimes feel. Our goal is to create a space where graduate students and postdocs can connect, learn from each other, and explore opportunities beyond traditional academic paths. As part of our mission, we organize webinars, workshops, and mentorship program. Our upcoming mentorship program is in summer from July to September. If you are interested in mentoring a prospective student applying for the graduate student in Canada, please scan the QR code. It takes just 1 to 2 minutes. Give us a little information and we will contact you. We have a highly educated audience with us today. Many of you may be international students or internationally trained professionals. Canada has positioned itself as a destination for global talent through express entry, international student, and entrepreneurial streams. But navigating the job market and hiring process in a new country can be challenging. To help us unpack this, we are joined by Dr. Usha Srinivasan, founder and CEO of BReady. Usha brings over 15 years of experience designing and leading workforce, entrepreneurship, and innovation programs in Canada. As a founder and CEO of BReady, Usha, you've worked closely with both employers and highly skilled talent. Let me start with a big picture question. How do you see the current job market in Canada for highly educated talent, especially postdoc and internationally trained professionals? Before that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Thank you.
And I had visa issues, like many people have when they land in the US, and then eventually ended up in Canada in 1997. And I did my postdoc in Canada in New Brunswick. But over the years, I have moved from academic research to market research consulting for another 8 years. And then, as Zoha mentioned, the last 15 years, I've spent my time with startup incubator spaces like Mars Discovery District, TMU's Zone Learning. I ran the Brampton Venture Zone, or I established and built the Brampton Venture Zone, a startup incubator in Brampton. And over the years, I've also had a few of my own startups, both for-profit, and BReady is my first not-for-profit. So just to catch you up on my different roles that I have played over the past 30 years of my career. So to answer the question, I almost forgot your question, Zoha. What are the challenges?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there is many challenges, especially for the newcomer international students that are not familiar with the job market. So what is the big picture about the, in general, job market in Canada? What's going on? Yeah.
Absolutely. So the first good news is that most of you or all of you on the call are STEM graduates. There has never been a better moment for you to be in the sciences. So I want to say it's a positive thing. I always say it's easy to learn business from science, but not science to, oh, no, not all of us are STEM. Okay, Lucas, thank you for letting us know. Please put it in the chat if you are not in STEM and what your background is so that I can speak to that as well. But I'm of the assumption that majority are, and you're a PhD postdoc kind of stage. Maybe you're a newcomer, maybe you're not a newcomer. Either way, the job market is tough for everyone. However, I feel like if you are in the sciences space, the law PhD, very exciting. Thank you for sharing that. Lucas, also you can share what role that you're. I'm a literary critic. Wow, historian with the focus on high control religion. Very, very specific. Thank you for sharing that. Actually, that's great. People are sharing what their postdocs and areas of interest are. Please do feel free to do that. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. So, yes, it's true that there are more people looking for employment than there are enough jobs in our country. It is very true. However, you people who have, regardless of the background, I'm assuming majority of you are in sciences, but even if you're in social sciences, there's various pathways for you to decide what kind of jobs to get into, right? You could potentially, if you are a postdoc, you could get into more research and follow the pathway of your professor. Maybe you want to become go into teaching. If it's not that that is not your cup of tea, and you really are passionate about the research you've done, as Zoha, as apart from Acadian, she has another business, Farname, that I'm lucky to coach her on. You can take your research from your university and spin it out and commercialize. If you haven't explored that, you want to know more about what is your tech transfer policy for your university, what does your professor think about that, spinning out as a startup, investigate, try to find out. There are a lot of resources now in universities to figure that out. When I did my PhD, I was not aware of that. I did not, no one even mentioned the word IP to me. And both my PhD and postdoc research eventually became commercial products that I have zero stake in, and my name is not on the patent. So I often try to mention this so that you, as a researcher or anyone who's doing in that area, is aware of that. The third pathway is essentially you could be like the unicorn, meaning has that distinct, very unique capability that a startup needs, right? If you are okay to take that little bit of a risk, it can be exciting to work in a startup environment. Yes, it is going to be challenging. You might be wearing a lot of different hats, but there are many startups that need highly technical people because they're working on challenging things, including Zoha might be hiring for postdoc in the future. And many of my startups that I graduated in BVZ are constantly looking for people who have a science background as they grow their medtech and healthcare businesses, or in clean tech, or it could be even fintech, or any of those industries where you bring that specific advantage and knowledge. And then you have the pathway of um, corporate, of course, corporate R&D. Uh, Good news is that majority of the international businesses in Canada do actually have their R&D offices here. Um, Less so than in the US, but increasingly with all the things that you see on the news, more and more offices are being established here. I recently heard about expansion in the Microsoft office here, things like that. So there are still opportunities. Now, that I talked about different pathways ahead of my next question, I think, Zoha, but I felt like that's an important like initial step to say the job market is challenging. Yes, there are fewer jobs. However, if you think about all these various avenues that you could explore, it opens up the things that you can explore. That's what I was trying to say, that you don't have to feel stuck. And of course, you're already quite qualified. My understanding is most of the people here are master's, PhD, postdoc type of people. You're not undergraduates, mostly not. And so if I say the word upskill, you're going to get upset. You're like, I don't need to upskill anymore. I don't need any more education. However, there might be specific certificates and whatnot. If you're in life sciences, maybe you want to go to data science or go into cybersecurity. There are possibilities to expand your, again, opportunity to work in different areas based on your educational qualification. So there's a more holistic response, but hopefully it gives people some idea
Yeah.
how
Thank you
to
so
think about the
much.
job market.
Yeah, thank you so much, Usha. You almost answered my next question. But what I want to add is that as a graduate student or postdoc, so we do
Mm,
research either if it's in a STEAM or social science or something else, we are focusing on
mhm,
research. But while
mm.
we are doing the research, we
Mhm.
gain other skills.
Of
And
course.
this can be transferred to
Many
roles that
industries.
is not actually traditional path that we may consider. I
Yeah.
remember when I was PhD student, Department of Chemistry, my background is chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Department of Chemistry invites 4 or 5 people with graduate with their chemistry degree, but
Mm-hmm.
none of them do chemistry. They was doing other things, but based on the knowledge and experience and skill that they learned. So my
Mm-hmm.
question is, how we as a postdoc and or graduate student,
Mm-hmm.
we can identify this skill
Mm-hmm.
and how can be
Mm-hmm.
transferred to the new role that is not the traditional path.
That's correct.
Could be
Yeah,
something that we
absolutely.
cannot think about it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. In fact, my transition from my academic research to market research consulting was really based on that, right? When they're looking at someone with any of these skill sets that your audience has today, you have to think about. I joke sometimes and say, my PhD taught me project management because in order for you to complete things in a timely manner and graduate, you are project managing your life of studying that particular program in a timely manner, right? People can't hold an attention for a very short period of time these days, but for you to have spent the 3 4 years to complete something, that says something about your ability to keep at it and complete your project. That's a transferable skill. The other is research in general. You will be surprised. I know we're living in the ChatGPT world where research is easier, but it still requires you to ask good questions, to be curious, to be able to analyze if the data is sound or not. You have inadvertently developed these skills as a result of being a researcher, another transferable skill. And that is what actually led me to market research. Let's add that to the corporate bucket. We talked about different types of employment. I went from academic research to market research consulting. I didn't have a business background. So when they hired me based on my knowledge of the water treatment technologies or environmental science. That's why they hired me, because they said, we can teach you how to do market sizing and forecasting and all of that, competitive analysis. We don't we don't know the science part, right? So when they bring you in, so that's another way to think about your skill, your research. And uh, and this is going to sound weird, but actually there's a lot of similarities between how startups work and how scientists work, or people who are doing research work, because you hypothesize, you think something is going to happen in the lab, you develop methodology, you might have to poll your audience if it's a social science kind of work, you gather information, and then based on that, based on the results, you do the experiment and the results tell you a data point, failure or positive, is always moving you forward, right? If you fail, you figure out you need to iterate and do something. The startup environment is exactly the same. I had come to that realization that the reason I can do the startup work is because I'm okay with experimentation. I'm okay with hypothesizing, gathering information, and then moving forward and iterate. You're not fixated on something. Because so don't forget that when you're doing research, that really interesting capability that you have built is going to be valuable even in a startup environment. And a lot of corporates look for that kind of mindset, right? Look for that mindset. And you could be the translator of the research if you are an extroverted person. It could be, I never thought of myself as an extroverted person when I was doing science, but eventually over the period of time I've become an extroverted person. You could combine your STEM strength or the STEAM strength, whatever the research strength that you have, and be a good translator to the marketing team members or others in your organization, because the translation of research to understandable language communication is another way in which you could shine as a person who's able to communicate to general masses, right? Because you understand the science and so on. So as we talk through this, I'm going to give examples of, there are so many opportunities. We don't have to feel stuck, right? That there's only one pathway. Yeah.
Thank you, Usha. It's really insightful. So my next question is about the hiring process. So
Mm,
the hiring process could be very different from the industry or based on the size of the company, from the academia is completely different from the industry, or a startup could be different hiring process. There are some referral process maybe, or internal promotion. So can you walk us through different actually hiring process so we have a better understanding how we can actually navigate the job market?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so when you're large corporations have different hiring practices, small SMEs have different practices, startups have different practices. It's less about actually sectoral differences also exist. So let's unpack all of that. Let's talk about the large corporations. Whether it's a tech business or a bank or financial, like a financial institution or a large company like Rogers, or if it's a advanced manufacturing, automotive, whatever industry they are, if they're a large firm, have over 1,000 people in the company, they typically have an application tracking system. Okay, I'm sure if any of you or some of you have applied to jobs, you may have unfortunately experienced that system giving you sending you an automated reject letter. So I have written a lot, some about this, and I've even spoken to Minister Solomon, Minister of AI, about this. That all these application tracking systems that large companies use are actually from the U.S. Workday is one example. Many other ones. We don't unfortunately have our own application tracking system here in Canada, so we're dependent on the ones in the U.S. But guess what? I have spoken to some of the Workday people, and they have basically said, yeah, our system is being trained on data of what happens in the US hiring practices. So the biases that set in, they're trying to add in some human elements there, but it's challenging. So when our HR people use it here in Canada, those biases come with that software. Right? We have to change something. We have to either help it to train in Canada data, or we need to eliminate AI reviewing applications in the front end and have more people involvement. Something has to change. And HR is very aware of these types of practices. So what do you do in this kind of environment? So you send in your application, but even before you send in the application, in the job description, you typically will see the recruiting manager's name, or someone in LinkedIn that potentially could be connected to someone else. So rule number one, I'm sure you are doing this, but I find even now, people are not making sure their profile is up to date and really creative and is very accurate to who you are on LinkedIn, because that's the first place everybody's going to see. Right? That's the first place they go, regardless whether you send a resume or not. That's where they're going to go. So I would connect with a recruitment manager or someone you see from the organization that you feel passionate about. Like you feel like this person is doing some amazing work, right, in their organization. It has to be authentic. You can't fake it, right? Find someone who first of all, you hopefully love the organization you're applying to. That's my feeling, at least. I was saying to Zoha before, is that I have never applied for a job. I usually find an organization that I feel passionate about, I write to them, show my skill sets, and I somehow get an interview. And so it's obvious to them why you should join them. So having that connectivity to the individual, to the company, a recruiting manager, or someone who's working there is crucial for you to even be successful in that particular job you applied, or maybe future opportunities that you applied. So that's in the corporate side of things. In the startup environment, in case some of you are interested in working in startups, it's all about personal connections. Startups very seldom have application tracking systems. They don't have the money for it. In fact, that's one of the reasons I created BReady Talent. And feel free to check out our platform or join. It's free of charge. And the startups go to events. Like there are a lot of community events that are happening depending on where you are. There could be some that your own university is organizing. U of T. If you are at U of T, across from you is Mars. There's many events happening there. If you're in the Waterloo Kitchener community, there's Communitech and Velocity. And literally every main Southern Ontario city, there's a regional innovation center and startup activities happening, and they organize events. So show up to those. There might be hackathons happening. Show up to those. Unless you meet startups and you meet like-minded people who are solving a problem, that job opportunity is not going to show up, right? You have to make that effort to network. I know networking is one of those scary words for a lot of people, but I always say the rule of networking is you don't have to say anything. You just ask questions. The fear is like, what are they going to ask me? I don't know the answer to something. If you're only focused on the person you're in front of, the networking goes much easier. They just ask them questions. People love talking about themselves. Just listen and gather information, right? And the SME category, let's talk about that. They are also not people who have application tracking systems. They don't have money. They tend to work through associations. So there's an association for literally everything. Whether you are in finance or legal or manufacturing or food, there's always associations. That's another place where you can go and connect with them directly. And third place where you can connect with both corporate and SMEs is chambers. If you don't know what that means, there's a chamber of commerce or board of trade in every municipality, Brampton, Mississauga, Toronto, wherever you live and wherever you work. You could go to those events that are organized by chambers and boards of trades, and they make it very accessible. Typically, they're in the $50 to $100 range. You do not have to be a member to go to these events. There, you connect with people. You go to organizations are having dinner together or have a networking together. So, bottom line, do you have recommendations for how to find events? So for the startups events, please go to TechTO. TechTO has all of the events that happen in the startup space. That's one. I would say for the corporate and SMEs, a lot of those connections and events happen at the chamber level. Okay, so go to the chamber website. You don't have to be a member. Let's assume you're in Brampton, hypothetically. You could go to Brampton Board of Trade website, go to the events page and see what kind of events are happening and pick one and go to that, industry specific one. That's it. TechTO, Zoha found it and she's sharing it with you. Those are some places you can find events. But, I have to say, you cannot find a job from behind your laptop. I'm sorry to say, because it's getting so competitive, you have to get out there. This is what Zoha was talking about, the hidden job market. Sometimes employers are thinking about hiring someone, and literally when they find they're speaking to somebody and they really love your engagement with them and you think, my God, this person is so knowledgeable, they will create a job for you. Believe me, it's happened. It's happened to me. It's happened to people that I have coached. So it is possible, right? As long as you're being authentic about the work that you're doing. I don't know what you're passionate about. It could be anything. You could be passionate about nutrition or machine learning or any of those items that people have shared. So that's my long-winded response for you. So
thank you so much. It was great. So this as a follow-up question, you bring a hiding job. So it's different. Actually, it's sometimes frustrating about that you don't know what type of the job posting is there, because any job application you will spend time. So so it's good to know what type of job posting is. So people talk about ghost job, those job that is a company do it for the market research or branding or some internal job. So for example, I remember it was a job posting. It wasn't very clear. So I contacted HR to see what is the exact requirement. And they said, I paraphrase it, don't bother to apply because we already identified the candidate, but we have to just post it because of the requirement of the company. So how we can actually identify, or what other different type of the job posting is out there that we need to know?
What is the purpose of them? Yeah. So one step back from that is you know what happens is when, unfortunately the way LinkedIn works or Indeed works, it's all about money, right? It's about if the employer is paying more money, then you see more of those jobs and vice versa. So when and if they're doing market research or maybe they're just, recruiters wasting your time, all of it, you get entangled in all of that mess when you're just blindly applying. I have to be honest. You have, if you think like, okay, the more I apply, the more responses I'm going to get. No, it doesn't work that way. You're just wasting more and more time with your clicking on easy apply. It's getting into ATS systems, or just randomly applying, really not thinking and researching about the organizations you're looking to do. This is when that happens, Zoha. Like you don't even know that the question, the job application is for a market research role or a recruiter is asking. The reason you don't know is if you're clicking on easy apply or you're not doing this, spending the time to look for things. I would strongly recommend that you apply for smaller number of quality applications rather than a volume of applications, because the minute you change that structure, this is how I coach everyone who's looking for work. I would say really sit down and think about what is it that really gets you excited. I read a little bit of the Japanese philosophy. You might have heard this word ikigai. Ikigai is where, what are you passionate about? What does the world need? What can you get paid for? And I think there's a fourth one. I'm forgetting. There are four ikigai. I have actually the book here. Show it to everybody. It's I strongly recommended this reading. So, what do you love? What does the world need? And what you can get paid for, and what are you good at? That's what I forgot. What are you good at? If you can find the middle of all of those four things, you will be successful in your job hunt. It is not a random thing you're doing. You're doing it with intention, looking for organizations where you value what they're doing. Maybe you care about social impact. Maybe you care about financial prosperity. Whatever your intention is, then think about those specific companies and then approach individuals who are working in those companies. Try to have virtual coffee chats. If they are leaders, if they're speaking at an event, go to some of those events, hear them speak, go up to them at the podium, make a compliment, connect with them on LinkedIn right there, and don't give a long spiel about all of your background at that time. All you say is, I'd love to connect with you over coffee. I loved what you said about this. And send them an invitation with a note in LinkedIn. This is how you create impressions. And believe me, those specific practices, many people that I've coached have followed, led them to job opportunities. So these are like some tried and tested kind of ways of looking for things, and that's why I'm sharing them with you. And so to answer your question in a reverse way, Zoha, is that you escape those recruiters and market researchers who are wasting your time by being targeted about who you're applying to, right? It's the approach you're taking. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah, thank you for advice. So, one other thing that I personally find it sometimes very
Yeah.
frustrating is about job posting. Sometimes
Mm.
the description is extremely broad, or
Mm.
sometimes it's an overload of requirements. And I was thinking, oh, is there anyone that has all of these requirements? And and sometimes I think, okay, the person that was written this wasn't actually familiar with the actual role.
Yeah.
And there is some study that shows that many women won't apply unless they meet almost 100% of the qualification, while
Mm.
men apply if they meet only 50 or 60%. So
Mm.
when this sort of job posting is there, are we unintentionally or unconsciously filtering out some of the people?
Mm.
And when we combine this with this internal hiring, referral, heavy hiring, so what we should do? What is it? I
Yeah.
was thinking
Yeah.
that maybe the
I know it's
system is
frustrating.
not
It's not
designed
designed. Yeah.
correctly. Yeah.
So, number one, when you see job postings that are really detailed, that's a signal that they have an internal candidate. So they are essentially posting because they have to post, and they're intentionally writing it. It's like RFPs. When government or somebody writes an RFP, when you read the RFP, you think, my God, this thing's so specific. It's like somebody, so the client that they want to give it to is the one who wrote the RFP, basically, right? It's the same with the job posting. So I would stay away from those really specific, like dragged out, unicorn type job postings that you think that there's no way one person has all those capabilities. But on the other side, also, maybe they do. Some people, a lot of small companies, SMEs, they don't know how to write job descriptions. I can tell you, I work with them. They have absolutely no clue how to write job descriptions. So they literally write everything, and I have to coach them through, okay, what is the percentage of work? Can you think about what percentage of the person's time is going to spend on different activities? Do they have to spend 100% on all of these? What is the most important? And then they start segmenting things out. So remember that to look at the company website and say, this is if it's a very large company, you clearly has an HR, then it's an internal hire. If it's a SME, a startup or smaller establishment, most likely the person writing the job description, the junior person, maybe there's no HR. It's just an operations lead. And that's why they've just like put everything that we're going to need from this person, right? So in those cases, you might still apply. And then you ask the question about uh, people applying, whether it's 100%. There is a lot of evidence and research showed that men typically are, if they can do about 60 to 70% of things, they will just apply. But for some reason, the perfectionist women, not to say that men are not perfectionists, they could be someone else, mostly women don't apply. They need to be reassured that they can do 100% of everything. In all honesty, you don't have to think about it that way. The way the job description is described, if you can do, I would say at least 70% of it, apply. You never know, because there could be other people who've decided, okay, I don't think I should apply for this. They might be hesitating, and you're missing out, right? But as long as, I have to keep repeating this, as long as that's the company you want to work for, it is the most important thing, right? We spend most of our time at work and not at home. 9 to 5 at least, or more, we spend at work. You want to be the best place that you show up in, like virtually or in person. So don't pick something that you won't enjoy, or an industry you won't enjoy, or the kind of culture that you won't enjoy, right? So as long as you're convinced with all of those, yeah, apply. I think I answered both your questions in that.
Yes, yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you answer all of it. So, but in previous question, you talk about the AI. So let's just
Mm,
dig more into AI. So if
yeah.
there is an AI and we cannot
Mm.
change the system now
No,
as a
no.
job seeker,
Yeah.
so how
Yeah.
actually we can pass through this, or what is the
Hmm.
strategy that we can take
Yeah.
to be successful?
Yeah. I mean, I really hate this answer, because that's what we are all doing, which is, I'm sure you're doing this already, using different LLMs, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT, to rewrite your resume to meet the job description. But just be careful how much of rewrite you're doing. That just because, yes, you can make it application tracking, you're making it more ATS compliant, you know, they're very, I mean, I'm saying these things, and maybe 100% of this or 90% of this, in case it's helpful. Number one, the resumes back in the day, before all these fancy design tools were there, were very simple Word document. You have your name and email and LinkedIn, not even LinkedIn back then, and your information. Then the design tools came in, and people got crazy with design of the resumes. They added charts and all kinds of things and made it colorful, etc. And then we got into the world of application tracking systems, which were helped to reduce the volume, because you just think about a HR person who's posted something on LinkedIn, and they have 1,000 applications or 1,500 applications. They have no time to, is it necessary to cover? I'm going to answer your question, Zainab, in 1 second. They have no way of uh, looking through that many applications. So ATS systems were born to reduce the volume, right? But ATS systems cannot redesign high design resumes anymore. So please do not use any design. Keep it as simple as possible, straightforward. Words matter. Keywords matter. The words that are being used in the job description matter. A lot of times, to answer your question, Zainab, because only you can upload one document, a lot of candidates write a cover letter and make it into one PDF document, right? A cover letter followed by resume, if you want to do that. Sometimes I think cover letters are good. When I was saying to I have children in their 20s, and they're also applying for jobs. Some are working, some are looking for jobs. And they often ask me this question. And I always find, as an employer, I have employed many people in my life. I didn't have an environment where I was ATS systems. When I'm looking at the cover letter and resume, I am spending a maximum of 3 minutes. I know it's shocking. Maximum of 3 to 4 minutes per resume and cover letter. So I really want to see specific words and call outs that are in my job description, right? So if you're going to write a cover letter, it better be not a repetition of what's in your resume. It has to be something distinct. I hire the full person. I want to know something outside of the resume. I actually like seeing the hobbies section. If you play sports, if you play chess, it's a team sports or individual sports. All of those things, or you're a writer, all of those things tell me something about you outside of your resume, right? I like to employ the full person. And so those are the kinds of things that should make their way to the application. So going back to the AI question, it's like the AI playing games with AI, Zoha. That's where we are, unfortunately, right? Candidates are using AI to rewrite the resume, to put it back into the system where AI is looking at the AI. So I don't know where we end here. Something has to give. This is why I'm a strong proponent of stop chasing those jobs where thousands of people are applying in large companies, and focus your attention on SMEs and startups who need your talent. And it's many people have biases that SMEs don't pay well. That's not true. I know many companies that are, $10 to $20 million companies that pay an extremely good salary, but they just don't have brand recognition with talent. So they're not applying to those jobs. This is why I mentioned, like, go to chamber events and meet people directly to apply, or, of course, join our Be Ready Talent platform if you want. And so the way that we are progressing in this AI world, it has to have an end. Who knows that with the minister of AI that we have, and I've openly said to him about this in an event. I've sent some of my policy directives to him of what changes we should make. We might, with all the tensions we have with the US, we might say, you know what, employers need to disclose whether they're using ATS or not. If they're using AI, so candidates will choose not to work with that employer, right? It would affect behavior. So many things can happen, but only through policy change. So for the interim, do the best you can with large companies if that's what you want, to apply to, but don't over tailor your resume, and read what AI has written so that it doesn't embellish something that you don't have the expertise of, because that's a big problem. You inadvertently wrote something, you get shortlisted, you go to an interview, and somebody says, give me an example of that case study that you mentioned in your resume, which may be non-existent because AI just kind of embellished and wrote something. So I'm sure you're smart people, you will read it and make sure it's okay.
Thank you so much, Usha. So before I go to the next question, if you let me, I just want to just once more say about the accordion.
Yeah.
So we are an early stage startup working with one of the accelerators, Cecile, and
Mm.
our mission is actually to empower graduate student and postdoc by building a community, so connecting people together to each other to share their experience and knowledge and mentor through the mentorship and consultation. I really appreciate if you take a look, and we are going to actually organize a mentorship program in the summer. If you're interested to be a mentor or do you want to participate as a mentee, uh, I will share a link to the survey. It's just take you 1 to 2 minutes. Please fill the form, and or any way that you want to participate, we are welcome you to join our community. And having said that, I don't want to just keep the actually distracted from the focus of the webinar. So my next question is, we talk about that the system is not designed for transparency or that it's not effective. I know that Be Ready, you design it to actually
Yeah.
have some innovation and change to this system. Can you tell
Hmm.
us about what is the inspiration for this and how the Be Ready is different from other
Absolutely.
systems?
Yeah, thank you. And I'm an immigrant to this country, a first generation immigrant. I came here in 1997. I had my own challenges of getting employment. I lived in the East Coast, the West Coast, even in Whitehorse, Yukon. Look it up in the map. It's close to Alaska. And so I am just frustrated in 2024 while I was at TMU, or earlier, I guess 2023 in TMU, I just was frustrated to continue to see challenges that highly qualified people that are newcomers or even graduates coming out of university struggling with employment. I used to do this event called Brampton Venture Expo in Brampton every year, and thousands of people came. And that event was really focused on people to build a startup, but most people that came to the event were people looking for jobs. So I was just frustrated with the situation and heard from all the things that Zoha and I are just talking about, the challenges in the job market, etc. And what I uncovered from conversations with people is that one, talent was typically people and like yourselves and others new to the country or even students. You typically don't have a network, right? If you're not an extrovert, it's really hard to have a good network. It's hard work to get moving on that. Second, you think that the job market is only in large companies. You just don't know about the SMEs and startups we just talked about. It's not normal to think about them. And you have some doubts, will the pay be low? Yes, in some cases, pay might be low, but you might get equity in some cases. But if you're early in your career, not a bad idea to take chance on those kinds of things. You will learn so much and experiences can happen. So that was a gap, I thought, in people's heads. And the last part is the job board scenario is just not working. People have different job boards. You still have to apply and wait to hear back. So I took all of that issue from the talent side, and then I looked at all the employer issues. All the SMEs and startups don't have brand recognition with talent. They don't have money to spend in LinkedIn and Indeed. So they were struggling to find talent on their own. I'm one of the board members in Brampton Board of Trade that I mentioned. There's a board of trade in every city. And I would hear from my colleagues in SMEs to say, I'm having such a hard time finding an IT person. And I would be like, are you kidding me? Every other person I meet is an IT person. And I cannot believe that you're having trouble. So I realized something was missing. So I built Be Ready to address all of these issues. So I'm sharing with you the website and also an email that in case you have any questions, you can send to me. On the talent side, you are just creating one profile. That's it. You upload your resume, It asks you to do a 1-minute video, and there's a 500-word pitch. There's no jobs to apply, and there's no jobs to post. So it works in a unique way. I'm disrupting the recruitment space, and we are a not-for-profit. We care about the mission more than making revenue or getting investment. So talent creates one profile. We engage with you in different ways. I partner with others on webinars like this, or we do other types of content. We take you on site visits to actually meet with employers in different jurisdictions. We are in Peel, in York region, in Durham, and soon to be in the Niagara-Hamilton region, mostly Southern Ontario. You could be from anywhere in Ontario. In fact, I do have people there are probably people from outside of Ontario on the call. So anyone can join the platform. There's absolutely no restriction. The only criteria is you must be over 21 years of age and must have at least a bachelor's degree or going to finish a bachelor's degree. So we're only less for current students, it's for students who graduated already. If you're a master's PhD, you're of course allowed to join as long as you're looking to work, because our employers are looking for somebody right away. So, if it's a 1 year from when you've graduated, that might be too far away. So I encourage you to join if you're ready to start looking for work. Okay. And on the employer side, it could be any industry as long as they're looking for professional talent, right? I don't have any PSWs and nurses or any skills trade or union roles for people to be considered for. It's all professional talent, tech and science and business in various kinds of years of experience from, I have 30 plus year olds all the way to 24-year-old, 21-year-olds. So the whole gamut. People speak different languages, etc. And in this one profile, we expect you to tell us everything that you are, like the languages you speak, the different hobbies you have, the kind of culture of in company you want to work in. We take all of that into consideration, and our algorithm matches it to the employer's needs. So the employers come to the platform, use their job description, and search our database, and they're connected to people. So in terms of transparency, Zoha, we actually block people's names. So there's no names on our platform when they get their search results. They get their search results, it says green, yellow, red kind of a result with percentage matches, and their names are scrubbed. We want to take away bias from the recruitment process as much as we can. And so when employers are looking at the candidates, they're only focused on the skill, and only if they like the candidate, they get to see the video, and then they directly click to request you for an interview. That's it, and they get connected. So it's a very seamless process. I have over 1,400 people on the platform, 155 plus employers, and 50 people have been employed in the last year. So if you feel that's something you want to explore, please go ahead and create your profile. We do monthly webinars on kind of demos to get to know more about that. So this is how we're trying to solve the problem of showcasing SMEs and startups. And I only focus on under 500 people employee companies, small companies. Yeah.
Great. I know it's great actually initiative that you are doing. And I encourage everyone to create a profile. I think it's less stress somehow because you just submit one resume and one profile, then
Yeah.
other looking for you rather than you looking for a job, which is very interesting. So we are almost close to the end. I want to open the discussion to the audience. If you have any question, you can unmute yourself, ask your question, or put it in a chat. And I really appreciate if you take 1 to 2 minutes, fill out this feedback form. It helps us to improve our next webinars. And yes, if you have a question, please put in the chat or unmute yourself.
Yeah, so there's a question here. How would
Yeah.
you evaluate the chances to, this is a question from Peter. How would you evaluate the chances to get a job in Canada as an international person if one currently doesn't have a work permit, the express entry doesn't seem to be viable, path because one would not get enough points without the French. I apologize, Peter. Yes, I do appreciate there's a challenge here around the work permit. Most of the employers, there are pathways like the I think the what is it called, the MLI. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know enough about this, but I'm saying some things that I know anecdotally. I think it's called LMIA. Is that right? I don't know. Maybe Zoha knows LMIA
No,
pathway
no.
or Ontario Provincial Nominee Program. Our couple, my understanding is I would strongly advise you to, maybe you've already done your research, Peter. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, the employers that we work with, or other even larger employers, more and more they are not willing to put that effort into signing papers or working on a work permit alongside you. They used to, but now it's just very challenging. So I apologize, I don't have a better answer for you. But I would strongly encourage you to talk to some people who have a more of a legal background for that. Amardeep, great initiative. Thank you, Amardeep, for the acknowledgement. Zainab, say I would appreciate if it's possible to share your LinkedIn profile. Of course, I can share my LinkedIn profile. Please kindly say something in your LinkedIn that you heard me speak at this event, Acadian event. I would really appreciate that. I'm just let me just grab the link here. Give me 1 second, because like there are many people who want to connect with me, but I sometimes it's hard for me to be available to everybody. But I want to acknowledge the ones that, my goodness, what's happening to my laptop? Is I think burning out a little bit. It's slow. Okay, as this starts working, let me look at a few more other questions. And Zainab, I will put the link in. Peter, you're welcome. Okay, there's no more questions. Okay, let me just find this link. You probably can hear my laptop in the background. It sounds like an airplane. It's just heated up for some reason. Hold on 1 second. I can't even grab my LinkedIn link. It's just taking some time. Any other questions while I wait for my link to show up here?
Okay, maybe I can find it. Just put it in this. Let me see.
Okay, you can find it on my behalf.
Yeah. I can find it. Yeah, you can answer the next question.
I'm like, it's literally frozen. It's not moving. Rajvinder had a question. I recently learned French and do research in chemistry and data science. That's amazing. Does it help? Absolutely does. So you have chemistry. I love people who, can do chemistry. I mean, learning French, it does open up opportunities for you in Montreal, right? Thank you, Zoha. Yes, please do connect with me if you like, and please just put a small note to say, Usha, I heard you at Acadian webinar. That's all. Then I know it's you, because there are 43 people. I don't know everybody that joined. So Ravinder, it opens up opportunities for you to be in Ontario, and there are a few companies like Canon, for example. I know when you think of Canon, you think of cameras, but they're actually a huge in healthcare space, in imaging and so on. So they are always looking for French capability and actively hiring. So I would think about that as a potential opportunity. The data science is always interesting. Like, imagine the world is anything and everything data is being collected on, right? So the fact that you know how to manipulate large sets of data is absolutely an amazing skill. So good job on that. Can we have Zoha, your LinkedIn?
Yeah. I try to. I don't know. My mind is just slow. No, I try
Yours
to
is
find
also
it.
slow?
Yeah. So okay, I found it. That's maybe because we are connecting this. Yeah, I will post it right now.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
then,
also put a note
Rita
when
has
you.
the sound.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can I answer this next question? Rita
Yeah. Sure.
has a question. Thank you so much for your insight and contribution to the job application process. My question is regarding the numbers mentioned. So 50 candidates out of a total of 14,000 potential candidates found a job on the BReady Oh, okay. So that's a probability of lower than point. Yes, you're right. Of finding a job per year. You're absolutely right because I'm only a year and a half year old company. Haven't been around for too long. And so the ratio of, if you think about it that in the other way, it's not 14,000. I said 1,400. So it's not 14,000. Actually, the number is wrong. 1,400, 1,400 and 28 as of today, 1,428 candidates. So the ratio is a little higher, but I have 155. So if you think about how many candidates I have for the number of companies, it is larger than that. But still, you're absolutely right, Rita. I am trying to work very hard to get as many employers on the platform. The challenge is SMEs don't hire large volumes of people, right? They're hiring maybe maximum of 2 people. So the volume of SMEs and startups I need to have on the platform is higher, but I'm just getting started. I've only been around for a year and a bit, so more work to be done. So and also think about it this way. It's passive job hunting. It doesn't cost you anything. You create your profile once, and that's it, and notifications will come to you if somebody's interested in interviewing you. Think about it that way. Rajwinder also, thanks so much. Help. Is it common for employers to reject applications because something sometimes is overqualified? I feel like this happens a lot often than the thought. Really? Um, well, then you have to ask yourself the question, are you applying to the right places? Right? This is why, I mean, you have an amazing set of qualifications. You have to ask yourself, who wants that qualification? A combination of chemistry, data science, and French. That's the question you should be asking, right? In my book, you are a unicorn because you have very unique sets of skills. So who wants that? That's how your job hunt should happen. Um, and if people can't value people's experiences, those are the wrong places. No problem, Rita. 1,400. Yeah. Well, so hopefully more amazing than you think. I should try to do more. I'm doing my best, but it is not easy running a not-for-profit. But for me, it's all about the amazing skills that we see every day. So I hope that it was valuable for you all to hear from us. And, Zoha's doing an amazing job with Acadia and her other startup as well. So, please come back to other webinars that she's running. Maybe I think do you want to share your website, Zoha, so that people can
Yeah,
find
I
the
share it. I
newsletter?
can share it again. Yeah, I can share it again
Mm-hmm.
for others.
Yeah, your website so
So
that they can join the
yeah, we
newsletter if
will.
they want to.
Yeah, we don't have any newsletter yet, but we will share our upcoming webinar. So we don't have any webinar in April, but we have on May, June, and July. I will send more information. We try to have a diverse topic to see what
Mm,
is the need for the graduate student and also
mm,
postdoc.
mm,
So if you fill the form that I shared before, I will can share it again. Tell us what you actually interested to know, and we
mm,
will organize this. Also, if you like to organize something for your some webinar or event, we can help
mm,
you, because when you organize something as a host, you learn a lot, and
mm,
it's a skill that may help you in the future. So if you're interested, we can actually help you to organize, and you're going to be the host of the webinar. Okay, there is
mm.
another question.
There's one more question. Mm, uh, I apologize. I'm not even going to attempt to spell your name and make up butcher it. Um, as researchers progress through their PhDs and postdocs, their expertise becomes incredibly niche and specialized. Yeah, almost like a Niels point. Yes, naturally, given the significant time and effort invested, we tend to seek higher market value, while postdocs might overlook small SMEs due to certain biases. I've noticed that SMEs also seem hesitant to hire all overqualified researchers. Okay. As the saying goes, you don't use a clever meant for a cow to butcher a chicken. Yes. In my experience back home, most postdoc level roles were limited to large corporations, academia, or research centers. I'm curious if the landscape for PhD in Canada is any different. So yes, valid point. However, with all of these grants that are being pushed, okay, by OCI, Ontario Centre for Innovation, even our federal government through ISED, they want our companies, our SMEs to become more and more competitive, right, in the landscape they're in, which means adding more capacity, capability, developing new product lines, even if it's, AI implementation, whatever it is. So in indirectly now they're thinking, okay, for me to actually progress in my business and not be stagnant, and create new product lines, etc., I need to hire more expertise. So I think it's going to change the number of individuals that they hire, research capacity individuals hiring is coming. And the other area that I know that I ended up as after finished a PhD and two postdocs, is when I ended up at a market research firm, Frost and Sullivan. So I think there's still opportunities for people. There are certain industries that value, or even management consulting firms. Not that I love management consulting firms, Deloitte and all of those. They do value people who have high experience or niche. Like I did biological control, bioremediation, as niche as it could possibly get. Similar to what you're talking about. I'm going to call you Kai Park. So believe me, I got out of that exact niche space that you're talking about. So it is very possible. It is very possible. I hope that answers your question. Any
Okay, I
other,
think
any other, your 30 people are still here, Zoha. People are eager
yes,
to
yeah. So
ask
is
more
any other
questions.
question?
Yeah, but
So
everybody's shy to speak up.
yeah, so maybe I ask one question. You talk about that one of the possibility or one of the path is a startup, as you did. I am
Yeah,
starting doing
you're
this.
the same.
So yeah, so what is your advice is for a researcher or graduate student and postdoc if they want to pursue the startup? By the way, we had last year we had a panel discussion with the graduate student that who start a business. So if you look at our website, the recording is available. You can watch the video, see how they share it. But you mentor of many, you were a founder and co-founder, but also a mentor for the startup. What is your advice is for
Yeah.
a
But you're
student that you want to do that? Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. The first, I would say it's a really good idea to join a startup first, not start one first, because you're going to learn so much. Not even a startup, a scale up. Let's say if you go to any like like Zoha just participated in the Desjardins UFT competition, that she is a third person, third third prize winner, which is congratulations to her.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
there's
Thank you.
many kind of competitions and hackathons and all of that going on. When you see someone presenting and you really love their idea, they are, and they don't have to be their early stage. It's going to be harder for them to give you more experience, right, because they're new at it too. If you join a company, because it's like the blind leading the blind, if two people are new at it. But if it's a slightly larger company, maybe they've just raised their pre-seed, you know how to find those. There's only a limited number of investment firms in Canada, right? You can go to their investment firms and you can see what they have invested in, what kind of companies they've invested in. You can click through, go to their website, learn about them. That's one way to figure out that if you like some company, you could approach them and say, hey, this is my background. Um, is there an opportunity for me to work with you? Most likely their pay may not be extraordinary, but they'll give you equity. But you're going to learn so much from working in a startup environment because you have to wear many hats. You're going to be agile, and like that's tons of learning that you will get. That might give you the confidence, etc., to then build a business of your own later on, right? So that's the best way. I did the same thing. My first I was a co-founder with someone, but I made the mistake of blind leading the blind. I had never built a business. He had never built a business. So we made tons of mistakes, but then COVID happened, and that's why we had to close the business. Failure is not I always say failure is not a bad thing. Failure is just a data point. And you learn so much from doing, like Zoha said, organizing an Eventbrite event, you learn so much from doing that. And unless you put yourself in those situations, you won't, typically we won't learn. So no risk, no reward. You have to take that little bit of risk so that you get a reward, but it is priceless. The learning you will get is priceless. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah, great. So any other question? You can unmute yourself if you don't want to
Yeah,
type it in the chat.
there's no need to be shy.
Yeah. Okay, seems that we don't have any more question. Osha, thank you so much. I really appreciate you take your
You're
time. I
welcome.
know that how busy you are and share
No
your
problem.
insight with us. And
Yeah,
yeah,
feel free to follow both of us on LinkedIn. Send us a connection link. Join Be Ready Talent if you feel you're in the right place in your life to do that. By the way, if you get 100% for those of you who still stayed on, if your profile is 100% on your Be Ready platform, you get a 1 whole hour of free coaching time with me, one-on-one. Just so you
that's
know.
great. That's great.
if
Yeah.
you need that. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the recording of this webinar. Your feedback is incredibly valuable in helping us improve future events and strengthen Acadian mission. Please scan the QR code to share your feedback with us. It takes 1 to 2 minutes only. Thank you.